My name is Eddie. I am a motorcycle rider. I have been for about 13 years now. One of the things that really got me into motorcycle riding was a YouTuber that I followed religiously around that time that put out pretty simple content, but stuff that I could relate to. And I've done some motorcycle videos in the past talking about different bikes and things like that. And I thought that this could be a cool hobby for 2023. So the first thing, and I have a Yamaha RF-1400 behind me. It's a 2022. It's got about 6,000 miles on it, and I will do a review of that as best I can as just a regular everyday guy living in the Pacific Northwest. But the first thing I wanted to do a video on was my newish helmet. It is a Shoei RF-1400. I was coming off a RF-SR that I got in the beginning of 2019, and I took this T7 actually on parts of the Washington BDR and the Idaho BDR last summer, and on section 5, I think it was, had a amazing amount of wipeouts on that day. Took a wrong turn. I think I dropped the bike 12 times, 14 times, 15 times, something like that. And none of them were really bad drops, but it was kind of like I took a wrong turn and ended up going down about a 45-degree angle that probably was about a half mile long. So slippery, my brakes weren't working, and so basically I'd pick the bike up, I would be able to control it for a step or two, and then it would drop. And then I would pick it up, be able to walk it for a step or two, and then it would drop over and over and over. So I was pretty fatigued. That was, I don't know, maybe halfway into the day. And at the very end of the day, I was doing a hill climb, got bucked off the bike, picked the wrong line, got bucked off the bike. My head hit a big rock, and my RF-SR, which I threw away, I should have actually kept it for at least to do this video, had a big giant gash on the side. So I thought, I got a concussion, and I thought, okay, I'll get a new helmet. So enter the, I loved my RF-SR, by the way. Great helmet. Not great for like dual sport riding, but for touring, awesome, plenty quiet, plenty comfortable. I had a transition shield for it, but I thought that this new incoming RF-1400, which I think was put out maybe in 2022, maybe in late 2021, kind of a new line. And I mean, I have a dual sport bike, but to be honest, probably, I don't know, 70 or 80% of my miles typically are going to be on the highway or on the road. Probably 50% of the miles I have right now on the T7 are off-road, but that's kind of an anomaly. I went a little crazy when I first got it, and it's phenomenal in the off-road, and I'll get more into that as the weeks and months roll on. But I just thought that the 1400 would be the best helmet you can get. Lots of good venting that come across this helmet. It's got the top vent, it's got the side vents, it's got this bottom vent. I actually really like the shield system, and a lot of people don't like it. It's got a button in the center that some people say is like hard to find, but what I really like about this is when you put it down, has just a very nice indentation. I don't know what the word would be. Let's see. Let's listen. Okay, so it's got a nice click. But I'm pretty disappointed, especially for the price. So the RF-1400 with the transition shield that I have on it was somewhere around $800, and the RF-SR with the transition shield was $200 less. So we're talking about a 25 to 30% upcharge, and of course I haven't crashed with this, but it doesn't feel any lighter. The inside materials might feel a smidge more premium, so maybe that's a piece of it. I like white because I think it's a little bit more visible, but as far as the venting, I can't speak to it in the summer because I've only got a couple hundred miles with it in warmer weather. I kind of bought this in September, and most of the weather we've had since then has been pretty tame. But what I will say is that when I'm riding, a bunch of air feels like it's getting in from somewhere. My face is very cold. I didn't have that experience in the RF-SR. I ride all year long. If there's not ice on the ground, I'm gonna be out there and riding. Whether it's just for a lunch break during my day job, or it's doing weekend rides, whatever the case may be. And this flows, even with everything closed off, it lets in what feels like a ton of air, which I feel like for this price range for street helmet, that shouldn't be happening. What I will say is the peripheral vision is tremendous on it, so I do really, really like that. I don't really see any part of the helmet when I'm wearing it. I could see peripheral in the RF-SR, so that's one thing that's definitely an improvement. As far as the venting goes, one thing that some of the other Shoei helmets have had in the past, like the Hornet has, and I think that even the RF-1200 had, was a brow vent. And I had an old Bell Vortex, which is now the Bell Qualifier. I think it's the same helmet, which if I could go back in time, I would have gotten a Bell Qualifier with MIPS instead of this. But it has a brow vent, which I loved in the summertime. When I was riding in the middle of like the desert, I always thought that brow vent really kept me cool. I could feel like the air rushing down my face when I really, really wanted it. I don't get that. This top vent doesn't actually feel like it's doing much of anything, which is a little frustrating. The other thing too is that the way that the padding is done sort of curls up like this, and this stuff here is just this very hard padding. There's no way to get a clamp unit into there. So it's not the end of the world. I did have to buy like the extension set because I bought the Cardo so long ago that I don't know where everything that came with it was. And I've got the sticky mount on the side. It does seem to be, I mean, it's not adhered to it 100% just because some of the lines that are on this helmet are a little frustrating, but it has not moved. I mean, I've probably put 700 miles or something on this. It hasn't moved at all. So I don't expect it to, and if it does, I'll put some Gorilla adhesive on there. It's got a chin curtain that comes with it. But again, honestly, I'd probably give this like just generally speaking, I'd probably give it like a B or a B minus. I feel like for the price range, it does have the Snell certification, which is great. But I think that pretty much any helmet that has an ECE at least would be equally as safe in a wreck, and perhaps I'm wrong on that, but would be equally as safe in some kind of a wreck. There's lots of helmets that have an ECE that are much lighter, that flow more air, that come with a lot more features and are 75 or 80% of the price. So if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have gotten this. I probably would have gotten a Bell Qualifier as my street helmet. I've got a dedicated dual sport helmet that I'll wear, that I can use goggles with and everything like that. This is just my like touring helmet. If I'm gonna be doing 70% or more of the day is gonna be spent on the pavement, and this is what I prefer to wear. Just because it is quieter than my Bell NX9 MIPS Adventure. Maybe I'll do a review on that, but it is quieter than that. It is a little bit lighter than that. It is better on the highway, certainly, than that. But I do like the transition shield on this. I mean, again, I'm not going to be shopping for another helmet for probably a few years, knock on wood, but we'll say 3 to 5 years or so before I'll be shopping for another one. I would have gotten a Bell Qualifier DLX MIPS if I could go back in time. And if for some reason I didn't settle on that, I probably would have just gotten the white RF-SR. What I really like about the RF-SR is that it is a solid color, but if you get white, for instance, it's got these really cool, like almost like Road Warrior black streaks that come across the top, and I just really like some of the contrast of the colors versus the white. I mean, even like the vents could have been, they could have done some black in here just to give something a little bit different. You get a white helmet, you want it for visibility, so maybe that's why. But ultimately, this is the first of like the gear reviews. I did buy a wireless microphone. It is charging. I just wanted to try this and see if anybody gives a shit about what it is that I'm saying. Yeah, I've got lots of stuff to review. I've got a whole bunch of accessories on this Tenere 700. I've got a lot to talk about just in general with it. It's an amazing bike, and if you're looking at one, you will not be disappointed. So thanks for coming here, hearing me talk about the Shoei RF-1400.